Morning, my name is Chase Nishi, Chairperson of the Authority. I'd like to now call to order the July 5th, 2023 Kakaako Authority meeting of the Hawaii Community Development Authority. And the time is now 10:48.
Thank you, Chair. In accordance with section 92-3.7 Hawaii Revised Statutes, the Hawaii Community Development Authority is holding today's Kakaako board meeting virtually on Zoom. The Zoom link details were included on the meeting agenda. Therefore, members of the public are welcome to join us on Zoom and also at our physical meeting location located at the American Brewery Building, 547 Queen Street, second floor boardroom, Honolulu, Hawaii, 96813. The meeting is also being live streamed on HCD's YouTube page. The HCD communications staff is hosting this meeting. Once this meeting begins, everyone will be muted for clearer audio. Board members, if you have any comments or questions, please unmute yourselves to speak. This is a public virtual meeting, so to prevent any distractions, if you are not a board member, staff member, or HCD's Attorney General, please turn off your video during the meeting. If you are providing public testimony, your name will be called accordingly. Please turn your video on, please state your name and affiliation and proceed with your testimony. When you are finished, please turn off your video. In accordance with section 92-3.7C, Hawaii Revised Statute, if the authority's ICT connection for the remote meeting is lost, the meeting will be recessed until the connection is restored. If the connection cannot be restored within 30 minutes, the meeting will be terminated and the authority will continue the meeting at another notice date. Thank you, Chair.
ACDA board members, please remain visible and audible during the meeting. Please also acknowledge you are present by either saying here or present. Let the record reflect the following members are here and present. Vice Chair Paul. Vice Chair Paul. Member Higa. Member Higa. Member Miranda Johnson.
Present.
Member Anderson.
Present.
Member Evan. Member Spoda.
Here.
Higa. Today's meeting, board members have an opportunity to ask questions or provide comments after the agenda item has been presented. Individuals from the public have requested to provide verbal public testimony on the specific agenda item are on standby and will be permitted to the meeting respectively. Tab number 1, regular meeting minutes of June 7th, 2023. Board members, are there any comments or corrections? If there are no comments or questions, the minutes are approved as presented. Tab number 2. This is the Amalka Area Rule. Executive Director.
Thank you, Chair, for decision making. We intended to bring this matter for the board for action. At the last minute, decided we have to defer this. We apologize, but not ready. Then likely present this August. Thank you, Chair.
Let the record show that member Higa has just joined us. Here you go. So, three, consider authorizing the executive director to schedule community stakeholder meetings and execute necessary contracts regarding proposed amendments to the Kakaako Community Development District Makai Area Plan and Chapter 15-2. or administrative rules to prohibit residential development and to make other possible amendments for lands in the Kakaako Community Development District that are generally Makai of Alamana Boulevard. Ryan Tan will now present the staff report.
Thank you, Chair Shi and board members. We do have a staff report for packets. Again, as Executive Director Member Nakamoto mentioned last meeting in June. We are intending to
Is it just me? This is member Higa. Is it just me or is the audio cutting in and out from the main room?
Yeah, the audio is cutting in and out for me as well. Yeah, me too as well, Sterling.
1 second. Okay, again, just. We'll make some adjustments.
Yeah. I'll unmute you.
Right, one of you.
Yeah. Yeah, hello, testing. 1, 2, 3, testing.
Member Higa, is it better?
Loud and clear, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, and I'll try to speak a little more fluidly as well. Again, the intent is for staff to initiate community outreach and get input in order to update the Makai area rules and codify the Act 317, which banned residential development in the Makai area. And then also codify the Kakaako Makai Conceptual Master Plan, which was adopted by the authority in 2011 as a result of an extensive community planning effort. After getting community input on these potential revisions to the Makai area rules, we would formally request to initiate formal rulemaking, including a presentation to the small business regulatory review board if necessary, and schedule hearings on this. So again, the updated rules would provide the basis for the authority to evaluate planning impacts of any future legislative actions or development initiatives in the Makai Community Development District. So we're essentially baselining what we have today. And that would allow us to kind of move forward.
Members, are there any questions or comments for Ryan on the staff report?
Member Higa, this is in regards to the discussion section.
Sorry, Member Higa, this is for item number 3. Considering authorizing the executive director to schedule community stakeholder meetings.
Yeah, no, sorry, item 3 on this staff report. So my question, Ryan, is it says that work is expected to be done primarily in-house. Do you have an idea of what would not be covered in-house and who would be like contracted to do that work?
At this point, I'm pretty confident we can do most of it in-house. If there's any requirements, if we see the need to do any traffic studies or any other detailed environmental studies, if that arises through this, that there could be the potential. But right now, I see us being able to do most of it, pretty much all of it in-house. It's possible we could need to get input from other consultants from expertise. We're using Tortigalis currently on our Palailoa plan. And I know they previously developed the Mauka area rules back in 2011. which we were also going to use as kind of the basis for the, bringing that into the 2005 rules for Mackay. So it's possible, we may need to consult them, but right now I see pretty much pretty straightforward path.
Great, thank you.
No, I agree. Remember, I think our plan is to primarily use the house, do some community engagement over the next month or so, and then come back to the board to engage in formal rulemaking. Thank you, Member Ego.
Any other questions for Ryan or the CDA staff report? Non-public testimony, do we have any public testimony? So we will accept public testimony in the order of persons who signed up prior to the meeting date, persons who were present in the physical location, and then persons online in the Zoom meeting. Looks like we have two individuals that signed up to provide testimony. First person, Wayne Takamini. Morning.
Morning, Mr. Martin.
Morning, members and Chair Ishii. My name is Wayne Takamine. I've been recognized as the chair for the Kakaako Mackay Community Planning Advisory Council, and in 2011 we managed to get our master plan approved and system master plan. Unfortunately, we tried to get the Mackay area rules updated previously, but for some various reasons, we never got that done. So doing it now is very much something that we strongly support. Some of the things that are not in the 2006, 2005 area rules, they didn't include the update of the 31.5 prohibitions for residential development. And it also includes the second part, which is the prohibition of the sale of state land in Kakaako. And I think this is important too, and this is why you folks have hearings every time someone's going to swap a parcel of condominium or unit. So yeah, we really worked hard to get those laws in place, and it has withstood the test of time. We had approved this master plan in 2011. There are a couple of guiding principles of community cultural gathering place, Hawaiian culture and values of the Ahupua'a. Open view plains is something that we really wanted to see because we knew there were going to be a lot of development on the Mauka side. We wanted to keep that peninsula free of large structures. At that time, they were looking at 3 condominiums on just the piano lot alone. Coastal and marine resources, I think that's very important because it's a recreational area. People swim, surf, fish. And another part of the component of the master plan of the area rules that didn't exist was they didn't really address the hazardous waste that are encapsulated in the berms and in the land. It just always exists, but there's 33 contaminants of concerns in the land. So these things were really addressed when A&B had their plan, and they wanted to build right over one of the most heaviest lead contamination on the piano lot. And that piano lot has a whole bunch of contamination. Also, we don't know under the piano lot, if they're gonna build large structures, they're gonna have to put in pilings. How is that gonna affect our water lens cap? How could that destroy some of our aquifer? I just heard that in Okinawa, their water table is totally polluted. They cannot rely on their water table to support the population because there's so much contaminants. Okay, I'm going to try to finish up real fastly, but other things that we wanted to do, expand the parks and green space. We want to preserve because more people welcome means that we need more recreational areas. Public accessibility, I think it's pretty good. Public safety and welfare, of course, the contaminants of concern, sea level rising, and then Kiwano Basin, cultural facilities. I think there is we have a statute in ACDA for cultural marketplace. It's not a selling place, but it's basically we can get our multi-pot community involved. And I think this is very essential because we want more synergy between different cultures, especially the native Hawaiian culture, our host culture. I think that, you know, I would prefer that the native Hawaiians be out with various communities instead of trying to be more isolated. I feel like some of the plans put them into a silo. We really want to work with the Hawaiians. They're very important. Small businesses, so we were never looking at big, you know, box kind of nationwide box type of investors to come in and build their, you know, Walmart, stuff like that. We want to keep it small, more local. Some of the things is Department of Agriculture wanted to keep this, have our marketplaces, farm marketplaces, fish marketplaces, that really helps community.
So the summarize the good.
Okay, yeah, so once again, it's a gathering place, but more when we're looking at it, we're looking at how can the local person come in, not spend a whole bunch of money and enjoy a nice time, education, bring the family, bring the kids, and nothing elaborate like other places, but then, you know, we have children's discovery centers, we want that synergy where we can have maybe waterman exhibitions and Hawaiian Hall for music and dance, etc. So yes, we do really support having the rules codified.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next. Ron, Iwan.
Good morning, ACDA Board Chair and Member Wright and Executive Director and the ACDA staff. Yeah, thank you for this opportunity to testify. And my name, is Ronnie Wami, President of Friends of Kiwalo. So we represent a community group that's trying to protect the oceanfront land at Kiwalo Basin Park and surrounding shoreline areas. And because we feel it needs to be protected with all the development we see Malcolm. So I just want to just share some history. 2006, a landmark law was passed that banned all residential development and sale of public land in Kakaako, Makai. So when I heard that the law was not reflected in the Makai area rules, I was kind of surprised because it's been 17 years since the law was on the books. So Prince of Kiwalo fully supports the addition to this law to the Makai area rules. It's to solidify, like make another step to solidify the ban on residential development. Because as you know, it's been threatened to be repealed 4 times since 2012. And we foresee it continuing to be threatened. And with the addition to the rules, we feel that it will become a stronger argument for our side. Yeah. So, like I said, we fully support it, and we'd like to see it happen and get community input too. That's very important. And I would like to end my testimony with the winner of our big question that we asked at our recent cleanup. We asked the public, why is it important to retain the residential ban in Kakaako, Makai? And we picked the winner, and the winner was an 8-year-old girl, daughter of one of our supporters. And she said, she simply put, there's too much buildings already. I can't even count them. And the land should be for the children. So I end with that. Thank you for this time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wong.
Is there any other public testimony?
No other public testimony, Chair, but I just want to note for the record that we received approximately 40 testimonies online in support of revising the rules to conform with the statute. Thank you.
And 0 votes.
0 votes. Yeah, yes.
Thank you. Members, are there any questions or comments? If not, is there a motion for the board to authorize the executive director to schedule community stakeholder meetings and execute necessary contracts regarding proposed amendments to the Kakaako Community Development District Makai Area Plan and Chapter 15-23 Hawaii Administrative Rules to prohibit residential development and to make other possible amendments for the lands in the Kakaako Community Development District that are generally Makai of Ala Moana Boulevard? Do I have a motion?
Member Higa so moves.
Do I
A
have
second, Kevin Segota.
Members, are there any further discussion on this motion? If not, can you take the roll call?
Yes.
Executive Director Nakamoto?
Thank you, Chair. On the motion made by Member Higa and seconded by Member Sakota. Member Higa,
Aye.
Member Sakota,
Yes.
Chair Ishii,
Yes.
Vice Chair Apo. Okay, Member Miranda Johnson,
Yes.
Member Hirai. Yes. Member Evans. Member Anderson.
Yes.
Yes. Chair, I'm gonna go back. Is member Apo on? No. Okay, Chair, the motion passes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 yes. And 3 excused.
Thank you.
No opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, tab number 4, consider authorizing the executive director to amend the revocable right of entry, ROE 13-18, with the University of Hawaii at Manoa, John A. Burns School of Medicine, and the University of Hawaii Cancer Center dated June 18, 2018, for up to 325 parking stalls located at Kakaako Makai Lot C, Honolulu, Hawaii, tax map key number 12-1-015-052 portion to extend the term by an additional 5 years and increase the rent. Lindsay Doi, Asset Manager, will now present the HCDA staff report. Lindsay?
Good morning, members. This staff report is located under tab 4 of your packet. This is a request to extend an existing parking agreement with JABSOM and the Cancer Center for their parking needs and requirements over at our Lot C parking lot in Kakaako Makai. Currently, they have 325 parking permits to provide monthly parking for staff and students at that Lot C parking lot. That agreement will expire at the end of August of this year. So they've come to us asking for another 5-year extension of that agreement. As part of that extension, they would like to change the rent, kind of the way that we had the rent situated. Instead of an annual escalation, they're proposing a flat rate of rent for that entire 5-year term. That would represent a 3% increase from the current rate. So they're proposing to pay approximately $116 a stall for the duration of that 5-year extension period. We do have some representatives from JABSOM, I believe, on Zoom if there's any questions about their request. But this is something that HCDA feels is an agreeable agreement. We do support their mission, and this agreement would also include a 3-month mutual termination clause if we do proceed with development of that parking lot.
Members, are there any questions or comments on this staff report?
This is Member Higa with a question.
Yes,
The
Mike.
question is just what is the maintenance cost or the carrying cost of these stalls? And is HCDA bearing all of that maintenance? And what is that annually?
So yes, we actually have a contract, a parking management contract for Lot C. I don't have the number of the contract off the top of my head, but I will tell you it is a large revenue generator, our Lot C parking lot. So it more than pays for itself. Our two parking structures, this being one of them, really comprises the bulk of our revenue. So there's no real maintenance on the stalls per se. It's more just a management for collecting the monthly revenue and making sure there's no, oil spots or hazardous conditions. But it's very minimal maintenance on this lot in particular, because it is a surface unsecured lot.
Thank you.
Kevin Sakota, when was the last time we actually did maintenance to it, that lot, in terms of repaving it, etc.?
Good question. So the Entrepreneur Sandbox is located in Lot C. So that was constructed a few years ago. When we had that building constructed, we did do a restriping project just because it took up the corner of that parking lot. So we had to reconfigure some of the parking. So it was repainted, not repaved though. I don't think it's been repaved in quite some time other than, small pothole patching. But the condition is pretty good. It doesn't, get heavily abused just by virtue of what it is.
Would there be other users to the parking stalls if the medical school didn't use them?
Right now, they really pay for more parking permits than they actually do use. So if you'll notice in the report, I noted that while they do have 325 permits, there's really only 314 stalls that are set aside for monthly parking. So that includes their monthly parking as well as some other small monthly parking users. And that has so far been sufficient. All 325 people don't come to the parking lot at the same time. So really they fulfill, I think, a need for a guaranteed return every month. Otherwise, if it weren't being used by them, we could look for an alternate monthly parker, although that number is fairly large, or we could open it to the public, but the public does already have 100 marked stalls for hourly parking, and those are not 100% at capacity every day. So there is, open available space.
Okay, this is another question, but just to get it out there, they're not charging the students, bumping up the student parking rates more than they're asking us for.
That might be a good question for UH. I don't know if it's a direct pass along charge.
Okay.
I'm not sure if someone from UH can chime in on how much they are charging students or staff for that permit.
Is there someone from UH on the call?
Nancy Foster.
Nancy,
Nancy.
Nancy Foster.
Good morning, HCDA Chair, Vice Chair, Board members, HCA Executive Director. Good morning, Lindsay, and the remaining staff of HCDA. My name is Dr. Nancy Foster. I'm an Associate Dean here at the John A. Burns School of Medicine. And my colleague, Cliff Martin, Associate Director of the Cancer Center, is also on this call. And also my colleague, Ezra Bendiner, is also, he represents UH Associate Council. We do not charge the students the full amount. We only charge them 50% of the amount. We cover the rest of that. So regardless if we sell a single stall anytime during the year, we cover that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Foster.
One additional point, if I could make, UH also only has exclusive use of the stall 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, excluding state and federal holidays. So that does allow for other use of the stalls. So that is something to also consider.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Member Hugo here, just with a comment. Generally, I'm supportive of this, and I understand the limitations on staff, but I would really appreciate it if in reports like this, there was included information about maintenance costs and also about large predictable things like resurfacing, just because it's very difficult to come to a conclusion on whether it's a viable project if there's no, carrying costs included in the staff report. So I know that the staff works really hard on this, but just in the future, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, member.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, remember my question was similar to what you had just stated, was that, Lindsay, has there been a recent study as far as resurfacing is concerned, as far as a life cycle for the current pavement that we have?
So no, and frankly, this is a temporary use. So we actually do have a development agreement pending for this whole parcel. Lot C, that's the one with Stanford Carr that I think, we extended until later this year. So this entire parcel does stand to be redeveloped in the near future. So we wouldn't say redevelop, we wouldn't put any large, capital improvement costs into this lot ourselves, because the entirety of the parcel would presumably be redeveloped. Either by Stanford Carr, if that development agreement, still stands, or in some other fashion, but it's not intended to be a surface parking lot in the long term.
Yeah, but again, it's a 5-year contract, right? This one here.
It's
right?
a right of entry, so we would terminate it when we're ready to redevelop. So that's why it includes the 3-month mutual termination clause. So when we know that if it's Stanford, if he has the plan, once we get all the permitting situated, we would go ahead and let them know. We would let them know earlier, actually, than 3 months, but it is, it is able to be terminated prior to the 5 years.
And then my second question is, was there a market study or something done that comprised, how did you come up with the $115
Yes.
per month?
So the market comps, so our current parking vendor gave us some market comps. It ranges from $100 to $275 per stall in the Kakaako area. The larger, 275, the more expensive stalls are all covered secured parking, which Lot C is not. Lot C is not secure, uncovered, just essentially unreserved asphalt parking lot. And those, the most comparable parking is also $100 a stall over at OHA's piano lot. So that's very much the same conditions. It's asphalt, just a chain link fence, no reservations, no security. So we determined that the 100, I think it's 15 or 115.93 per stall being proposed is comparable.
Thank you.
And just to add to that, Chair, I think, because there's been historically, there's a relationship with JAPSOM on the development of the med school with HCDA. And because of the importance of their mission, we, established the current or proposed price accordingly to in light of that relationship and the importance of JAPSOM's mission in the state.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions or comments from the members of the staff report? Do we have any public testimony? No. Is there a motion for the board to authorize the executive director to amend the revocable right of entry ROE 13-18 with the University of Hawaii at Manoa John A. Burns School of Medicine and the University of Hawaii Cancer Center dated June 18, 2018 for up to 325 parking stalls located at Kakaako Makai Lot C, Honolulu, tax map key number 1-2-1-015-052 portion to extend the term by an additional 5 years and increase the rent. Do I have a motion?
Can I move it with an amendment of just making it $116 a space?
We can amend the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just amend the motion.
To add that 116 per stall.
UH is okay with it.
Which is okay.
UH, are you okay with that?
Yes, we are fine with that. Thank you. And thank you for your consideration.
Do I have a second? With the modification,
I'll second Miranda Johnson.
thank you. Is there any further discussion on this motion? If not, Lindsay, you want to talk about the motion again with the modification? You wanna say it? Yeah.
Sure. Let me see. The motion has been made to authorize the executive director to amend the revocable right of entry ROE 1318 with the University of Hawaii at Manoa John A. Burns School of Medicine and the University of Hawaii Cancer Center dated June 18, 2018, for up to 325 parking stalls located at Kakaako Makai Lot C, Honolulu, Hawaii, tax map key 12-1-015, parcel 52, to extend the term by an additional 5 years and increase the rent to $116 per stall. That motion has been made by member Sakota and seconded by member Miranda Johnson.
And for the record, Mary Alice Evans has joined us at
Okay.
11:14.
On that motion, member Sakota,
Yes.
member Miranda Johnson,
Yes.
member Apol. I think he's still, okay. Member Higa,
Yes.
member Harai,
Yes.
member Evans,
Yes.
oh, okay, thank you. Member Anderson
Yes.
and Cherry Sheedy.
Yes.
The motion passes with 7 in favor, 2 excused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 5, consider authorizing the executive director to amend the existing lease with Interior Showplace dated November 11th, 2009 for the property located at 956-958 Queen Street, Honolulu, Hawaii, and identified by Oahu tax map key number 12-3-003 022 to extend the term by an additional 5 months until May 31st, 2024. Lindsay Doy, Asset Manager, now present the HCDA staff report.
Members, this is one of the leases that came to us, that was assigned to us as part of our purchase of the Block P parcel from Howard Hughes. So this lease with Interior Showplace was originally started by Howard Hughes in 2009, and it currently terminates at the end of December of this year, 2023. Interior Showplace is in the process of relocating their business. However, they've run into some delays with permitting, so they're unable to complete renovations necessary to their relocation by December of this year. So they have come to us for a short 5-month extension until the end of May to give them additional time to complete their renovations so that they can complete relocation. And so this request here would just be for that additional time. They are proposing to keep the rent the same as what they currently pay, which is just under $17,000 a month. That does reflect an annual 3% increase that traditionally would carry for the entire 12-month term. It last took effect in June of 2023. So even keeping it at the same rent, that would mean that they are paying the 3% increase since June of last year. We do have some representatives from Interior Showplace, I believe, online if you had any further questions about that lease.
I have a question. Is there a stipulation that extends it month to month anyway? No, not on this particular lease.
So these leases we inherited from Howard Hughes, so they're not actually our state leases, but there is a carryover. So the Howard Hughes leases have a, I believe it's called a holdover provision. So if the tenant stayed beyond the termination of their lease, so in this case, beyond December, it would be an extreme increase in rent. I think it's about 200%. So we definitely want to, memorialize if an extension is granted, what that length of time and what the rent would be, just to, protect both of us, but also the tenant, because I think the intent was for the tenant not to stay beyond their termination date.
I see. Thank you. Members, are there any questions or comments for Lindsay?
Question.
Member Wright?
For Atkins's, rent is proposed to remain at 16,000 a month as rent traditionally increased 3% annually, and the last rent increase took effect on June 1, 2023. So that just last month.
Correct. So their lease renewed in June. And so what Howard Hughes did was annually they would increase it by 3%. So when that lease was time to renew in June, it went up 3%. So that's why they're proposing to keep the rent the same, because it was just increased. Yeah, so to keep it the same for a whole year. Yeah.
It just went up.
Correct. Yeah, and they were again intending to relocate by December, but because of permitting delays, they're thinking they won't be ready until the end of May.
Any other questions?
Member Higa. When did the other Block P leases expire?
They're all different times, and different years, actually. So this one, even if we extended it to May 2024, it would still be the first lease to expire. The others carry out, I believe, 2 years and 3 years in the future.
Awesome, thank you.
Lindsay, Kevin Sakota, what is the HCDA's timing on the property? And do we have any other potential tenants to move in?
Yeah, so I can answer that, Member Sakota. So with Interior Showplace's plan to relocate, we have asked our property managers to start the process of looking for other possible tenants to fill the Interior Showplace space. We want to try to, we're hoping that there's not going to be a gap between the expiration date of the Interior Showplace lease as extended and when the next tenant moves in. To answer your other question, right now, our plans for Block P are to look at that for possible affordable housing. And possibly even as a possible leasehold project under Senate Bill 865, which is the so-called Aloha Homes Bill. If we chose that site for the Aloha Homes Bill or some kind of leasehold, we wouldn't be able to, break ground until the last of the lease is expired in about 2027. But just to give you information, we've already started the process of looking at the leasehold test program for under that Aloha Homes Bill. Looking at product mix, looking at what would the ground lease term be, what are we gonna do with the marketing for it, and then also the ground lease term expiration, 99 years. So we already started that process internally. And we have a selection. I know this is getting kind of far away from your question on Block P, but we're also starting to look at other potential state and county lands that along the rail route that we can use for the test program for leasehold.
Okay, so for the immediate future, we're looking to lease out that space, correct?
I think that's right.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
yeah,
Short.
and for the short term.
Very short.
Gotcha.
Okay. I don't want
Great.
to get into the situation, and I don't think we have to, sort of buying down the leases, because that's just gonna be added expense. I think it's gonna take some planning anyway, if we want to use that lot, those two parcels.
Gotcha, thank you.
Thank you, Member Sabota.
Okay, let the record also show that Vice Chair Paul joined us at 11:28. Is there any other questions? Members or staff? Or comments? No, if not, is there any public testimony? No. Is there a motion for the board to authorize the executive director to amend the existing lease with Interior Showplace dated November 11, 2009 for the property located at 956, 958 Queen Street, Honolulu, Hawaii, and identified by Oahu Tax Map Key 12-3-003-022 to extend the term by an additional 5 months into May 31st, 2024. Do I have a motion?
Member Higa so moves.
I'll
Do I have a
second it. Kevin Sakota.
Thank you. Members, are there any other further discussion on this motion? If not, Lindsay, can you please take the roll call?
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. On that motion, Member Higa,
Aye.
Member Sakota,
Yes.
Member Miranda Johnson,
Yes.
Member Harai,
Yes.
Member Evans,
Aye.
Member Anderson,
Yes.
and I think Member Apo is still not here. Oh, Member Apo
Aye.
and Chair Ishii.
Yes.
The motion passes with eight in favor, 1 excused. Thank
Thank
you.
Right, next item on the agenda, the monthly report from our executive director and other status report.
Thank you, Chair. The monthly report is presented in tab 6 of the packet. In the interest of time, I'll just summarize a couple of more important points. We have the Kolowalu Park improvement continues with the dog park. I think as member of full mentioned in the earlier agenda item, the Kolowalu Dog Park is an important amenity for the community as it brings people to a location along with their animals. And it's a very social kind of place. The second is the Kolowalu crosswalk, the permanent improvements, design and engineering work is underway. And we hope to break ground on that in late summer, August, September, and hopefully finish by the end of the year. The same thing with the dog park, hopefully break ground August, September, and then finish in late December. Thank you, Chair.
Now, are there any comments or questions for our executive director report?
Just Kevin Sakota. You know, I'm not sure if I missed anything, but there's no dog parks projected for Ward Village, correct?
Not
By Howard
any-
Hughes.
Yeah, not any public off-leash dog parks.
Gotcha.
That's-
So it kind of faces the same issues that we did with Corn Park, right? Is that there are dogs in there and then the kids come and play soccer and mess around on
Yeah.
the ground and all that stuff. Yeah, it's okay.
I think, for Malka, the only other off-leash dog park is located at Mother Waldron Park. That's the only one. And then Alamona Regional Park, by law, dogs are not even permitted in
Right.
Regional Park. So
But
this
those are state properties, yeah.
The Mother Waldron is city, and
City,
then
okay.
Alamona Regional Park is city. So if, once this off-leash dog park is built, you're correct, what it's gonna do is put dogs and their owners in an off-leash situation in Kolowalo Park, Malta. And then, just kind of open up, the Mackay Park to other uses as well. Because we kind of receive periodic reports of dogs being off leash in the Mackay Park. And, it's something we monitor along with our security guard. But it just points to the need to have a dedicated off-leash dog park.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Sakota.
Any other questions? Or comments? Is there any public testimony? No. If not, thank you for those who have joined us on Zoom, in person, or via YouTube. This concludes our business for today. And the meeting is now adjourned and the time is 11:38. Start up in 5 minutes.